We're very happy to have you with us tonight, and we're really going to rock and roll. This is yours truly, Alan Freed, the old king of the rock and rollers, and you're going to meet two of the most exciting combinations you've ever met in your life.
And here they are, the Monkees and Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention.
Hey, sister, what do you call that exercise you get?
It's rock and roll, brother, and we're rocking tonight.
See you later, alligator.
Rock and roll stars began to appear as themselves in movies very early on. Beginning in 1956, 4 movies were released that featured the new music, albeit in a background decoration kind of way. First up, released in March of that year, is Rock Around the Clock. The film is a vehicle for Bill Haley and the Comets, capitalizing on the success of the use of that song in the credits of 1955's The Blackboard Jungle. It purports to tell the story of their rise to success.
All right, I think we've got it now. Let's do it, huh?
But in reality is total fiction. It is far more interested in the story of their somewhat sleazy manager.
We'll split, 60-40. Corny and I'll take 40.
40%? You shouldn't get more than 10.
And how he works his way into their lives. It would be completely forgettable if not for the appearance of Alan Freed.
It's yours truly, Alan Freed, welcoming you all to our gigantic rock and roll jamboree at famous Hollywood Hall here in Los Angeles, California.
And for its preservation of performances from some of the top acts of the time, such as the Platters. I mean, just look at this photography. It also preserves acts best forgotten.
Rock, 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 rock. We're gonna teach you to rock.
The remaining 3 movies were all released in December 1956 and are as follows. First is Rock, 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 easily the worst of the bunch. But again, it is a time capsule, with appearances by Connie Francis, the Moonglows, Chuck Berry, the Flamingos, and Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, all enthusiastically introduced by Alan Freed. Next is Don't Knock the Rock, with an opening title card suspiciously similar to Rock Around the Clock, again featuring Bill Haley and the Comets, again along with Alan Freed.
There are 91,000 drops of this, I'm sure.
It wants the audience to buy the man you see here as a top performer that teenage girls are swooning over. Again, mostly forgettable, but for the performances of the Comets, and notably Little Richard, who steals the show. Our final movie on the list is the one that makes all the history books, as it had a great influence on the next generation of musicians that arose in the 60s, namely, The Girl Can't Help It. It also didn't hurt by being the only one on the list presented in the still relatively new widescreen format and in color,
Gorgeous, lifelike color by Deluxe.
and is easily the best photographed of the 4. Starring Tom Ewell and Jane Mansfield, it is a film of great nuance and subtlety. A masterclass in understatement.
Why, what do you mean?
Again, this film is far more interested in the story of a washed-up musical agent, played by Ewell, that and Jane Mansfield's ass, than anything rock and roll. It has a passing resemblance to 1955's The 7-Year Itch, also starring Ewell, paired this time with Marilyn Monroe.
Didn't you just love the picture? I did.
The film's influence comes from its appearances by Fats Domino, The Platters, Little Richard, Gene Vincent, and Eddie Cochran. This would have been the first time many fans would have seen their favorite artist, in a time long before you could have everything they'd ever done at your fingertips. These kind of movies continued to be made into the late 50s and early 60s in bewildering numbers. Quick, disposable drive-in product for the teen market. Now, gentle viewers, I hear you ask, where is Elvis Presley in all this? He did make a great many movies, some featuring rock and roll, some not. In fact, he made 29 movies, but in not one of them did he play himself, so he is not included in this overview. The Elvis style of movie did cross the Atlantic, and the biggest star in the UK in the pre-Beatles era, Cliff Richard, got in on the act. Here shown is his 1963 effort, Summer Holiday, where he lip-syncs up a storm. The real game changer is, of course, 1964's A Hard Day's Night, here starring the Beatles playing themselves. Is it an accurate depiction of their lives on the road? No, not really. But it does have the occasional moments of knife-point accuracy.
Now, there's only one thing I'm gonna say to you, John Lennon. What? You're a swine?
They are playing themselves again in 1965's Help.
Yep.
But that's as far as it goes. It's a silly affair.
Ho ho! Ho. Ho ho!
Ho, 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 ho.
With, of course, some great musical moments.
End of part 1.
It also caught the attention of some television executives at NBC.
Part 2.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
Now they thought,
NBC.
how hard can it be to create, from scratch, a pop group that will have the same international appeal as the Beatles? Child's play, right? So voila, we get the Monkees.
Are you sure it's all right to come here without an invitation?
And it kinda was child's play, as the average audience for them was under 16 years of age. Closer to 12 in my estimation. They were immediately labeled the Prefab Four, a very clever nickname. Now, to be fair, their personalities partnered with a crack team of songwriters, session musicians, and producers resulted in a string of top singles and albums between 1966 and 68. They also managed to cross paths with some of the rock elite of the time. There is the well-known tour with Jimi Hendrix as the opening act. I'm not sure what the promoters had in mind, and it was brief. Mike Nesmith shows up in the promo film made for the Beatles' A Day in the Life, along with Donovan, Keith Richards, Mick Jagger, and Marianne Faithfull. Not a bad public, that. But not all was well in paradise. Early on, the Monkees did not write their own material, and played very little on the songs. They fought to have a greater input into their music, but, and this is just my opinion, their albums are hard to sit through if you ignore the hits.
It didn't help much.
By 1968, audiences were moving on, and as they were tied to the television show in the public's mind,
That's two things.
What do you really want this show to do for you?
I want to go home.
when it was canceled in March 1968, it spelt the end of their golden age. So in an effort to remain relevant, the next logical step was to movies, right? Well, kind of. In the 60s, there was still a big separation between movies and television. One might slum it and move from the glittering world of cinema into the low-rent world of television, but it was very rare of the opposite to occur. But what about Clint Eastwood, I hear you ask? Yes, he did make the jump to movies, but he had to do it in Italy. America still wasn't really ready for it yet.
Well, then what's the problem? I gotta do fucking Italian goddamn movies, that's a fucking problem!
Bands wanting to jump into movies was not rare at the time, though. There are the stories of the Rolling Stones wanting to star in a version of A Clockwork Orange, or the Beatles in The Lord of the Rings. The Beatles did indeed make their own movie, and the less said on that subject, the better. Now, pop culture legend has it, their cinematic move was the Monkees saying goodbye to all the trappings of stardom.
Hey guys!
A big F you to the industry. But this is not the case at all, as one of the creative team behind this was also one of the original producers of their television show. Bob Rafelson later claimed he had the idea before the Beatles existed. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But he and partner Bert Schneider were responsible for the Monkees' success. So Rafelson enlisted the help of a relatively unknown actor at the time, Jack Nicholson. Yes, that Jack Nicholson. To write the script for a feature film.
Anything is possible.
Nicholson was no stranger to the counterculture, and in 1967 had written the script for The Trip about LSD and directed by Roger Corman. So with all in place, cameras began to roll in early 1968, and the project would eventually be called... moving on. Head is basically a continuation of the television series style. Interconnected set pieces with minimal plot, and in the movie's case, none. Now, movies with no plot were a thing at this point. Candy...
Oh, not nice. These people do bad things.
And a bit later, The Magic Christian.
Do you think words corrupt?
They all have the flimsiest of through lines connecting a series of comedy sketches.
Agnes?
Yes?
Nipple.
It also has a shadowy resemblance to Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Here they also had the opportunity to tackle subject matter NBC would never have allowed. The movie begins with no opening credits, but a nicely done, nearly 2.5-minute one-take shot with many moving parts depicting the opening ceremony of a bridge. And here they come, running down the street. Hey, hey, it's the Monkees. And oh no, Mickey takes a dive off the bridge, and we are greeted with the first tune, where normally the credits would be. And the tunes? Well, this movie has B-tier Monkee songs. Nothing you'll recognize unless you're a die-hard fan. Passable, but not up to the standards of the big hits. There's a brief introduction to the movie, explaining it's plotless, and then they deconstruct their own image.
You say we're manufactured. To that we all agree. So make your choice and we'll rejoice in never being free.
Hey, hey, we are the Monkees. We've said it all before. The money's in, we're made of tin. We're here to give you more.
It's at this point they use the well-known footage of a Viet Cong soldier being executed, which I won't show here. In fact, they use the clip 3 times during the running time. The aforementioned Magic Christian uses the same footage. Next up is a biting satire on the follies of war. Yeah, no, not really. It's just some silly antics in a trench. Kudos to Peter Tork for not using a stuntman. A concert is staged, interspersed with Vietnam War footage, and it's kinda unsettling, which I assume was the point, right?
You're the world's largest Ford dealer.
We move on to what I assume is a jab at television and advertising. It does have a satisfying ending. We segue into whatever this is, some sort of Arabian Nights type fantasy. An eye candy segment. It contains absolutely no hidden messages whatsoever. Next is a Western interlude, where the premise is the hilarity of accidentally killing Native Americans. And oh look, it's Terry Garr. A series of unrelated events eventually bring us to a diner, where a humorous interchange transpires between the Monkees and the waitress, here played by T.C. Jones, doing his best Betty Davis impression.
Are you still paying tribute to Ringo Starr?
Jones was a well-known female impersonator and had appeared alongside now friend of the show Jane Mansfield in Promises, Promises in 1963.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not going to have any children.
I should hope not. You're not even married.
What you say, you and me, go someplace where we won't bump into each other again.
And just like that, we're in a boxing segment, and in his delirium, Davy Jones flashes back to him and his sweetheart, Annette Funicello. Who, I hear you ask? Why, only Miss Disney herself, survivor of the Mickey Mouse Club and a series of teen beach movies alongside Frankie Avalon. Duh. Back in the world of boxing, Davy Jones appears with real-world champion Sonny Liston.
Go on, see if you can hit me, just once, just once.
Liston's likeness had also appeared on the Sgt. Pepper's cover. A fake fourth wall break is next, as close to a documentary as we're going to get.
Oh, yeah, I know about hitting a girl. Over there. Is that all right, man? And everything. It's not right. No. Peter, I hate to interrupt that. Yeah, I know it's for your niece. It's quite all right. What's your name? Bob. It has to do.
I'll see you later, Peter.
Bob, it's a movie for kids. They're not going to dig it, man.
A musical interlude is next, as the Monkees wander aimlessly through idyllic landscapes. But oh no, we're snapped back to reality of advertising. The Monkees are in a commercial for dandruff. Don't ask. And whose celebrity head are they troubling? Why, Victor Mature, of course.
I pray thee, strengthen me, O God.
He had been a top star in the 40s and 50s, and his turn as an Egyptian pharaoh is comedy gold. They end up in a vacuum cleaner because of course they do. More mixed messages ensue.
Oh. This is not one of your standard brands.
Oh, an El Zumo.
Imagine having to smoke that whole thing. Smoking may be hazardous to your health.
Well, Davy escapes and proceeds to perform the best musical number in the movie, dancing to the song Daddy's Song with some quite innovative editing. With choreography by Tony Basil. Yes, that Tony Basil. From here on to the end, the movie loses any pretense of cohesion, possibly due to the writers and a fondness for El Zumos. Whatever the case, we proceed to a studio backlot, a bathroom with a haunted mirror, a buffoonish police officer, played by Logan Ramsey, who I know from his appearance in the original Star Trek around the same time.
Try the sparrow, broiled and gallop.
And whatever the hell all this is. And it wouldn't be 1968 without a swipe at the Maharishi. Remember, kids, people were making fun of the 60s while they were still happening.
The conscious and subconscious is unable to discern between the real and the vividly imagined experience.
The human mind, or brain, or whatever,
is almost incapable of distinguishing between the real and the vividly imagined experience.
No movie is complete without the philosophical musings of Peter Tork, obviously, or a giant Victor Mature. I give up trying to make sense of the movie at this point. For some reason, we end up where we began, except now all the monkeys are jumping off the bridge. There's a cheap metaphor here. We all see it. Head was not a commercial or critical success. Shocking, I know. Bob Rafelson survived, and his production company was behind Easy Rider in 1969, and he directed Jack Nicholson in 5 Easy Pieces in 1970.
You want me to hold the chicken, huh?
I want you to hold it between your knees.
Not bad at all. So what connects Head with the next movie we'll be looking at?
The song was pretty white.
Well, so am I. What can I tell you?
You've been working on your dancing, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been rehearsing it. Glad you noticed that.
Yeah, it doesn't leave much time for your music. You should spend more time on it because the youth of America depends on you to show the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, mama, now what's got into ya?
Today, Frank Zappa is looked upon as an innovator, a musical genius. History has been kind to him, so it's difficult to convey just how totally fringe he and his band, the Mothers of Invention, were in the late 60s and early 70s. The kind of band people who read Sartre on the bus listened to.
Hates Caucasians, despises Americans, with contempt for women.
Okay, that's an unfair exaggeration. But he was a child of the 50s and had nothing but contempt for the new counterculture.
I'm Mike Nesmith, and I'm one of the Monkees. Tonight, as my guest on this wonderful television program, which has done so much for all of you young people out there, I have as my special guest none other than Frank Zappa.
Hi, kids. Hi, Mike.
That Zappa approached United Artists about making a movie, and they said yes, speaks volumes about the mindset of movie executives at the beginning of the 70s. They said yes, but didn't give him a lot to work with, namely $679,000, which is roughly $5.5 million in 2026. So with that limitation, recording began in 1971. I say recording as Zappa opted to record on videotape and then transfer that to film, thus being the first movie to do so. This allowed for effects only available with videotape, seen as cliched today, but in 1971 were highly innovative and novel. 200 Motels is essentially a stage musical, with scenes of dialogue interspersed with musical numbers, and we even have a master of ceremonies. 2, in fact. And here they are, now friend of the show Ringo Starr and Theodore Bikel. Bikel had a long career on the stage and in movies. He shows up in 1957's The Enemy Below, a submarine drama, which Star Trek later remade as Balance of Terror in 1966. His Trek connections don't stop there, as he later went on to portray Lieutenant Worf's adoptive father in The Next Generation.
I want to see everything, the whole ship.
Here he appears to be some kind of satanic figure, manipulating events as they unfold, like you do. Ringo Starr is playing Zappa.
I'm sure the people at home will be interested to know why such a large dwarf as you is all dressed up like Frank Zappa.
As Zappa himself says nothing during the running time, rather just seen conducting musical numbers and being a whispered name of dread.
It's him. It's him. He's watching.
Do you think he heard us?
Of the movies we've covered here, this is the only one where the creative force behind it is the musicians themselves. And what about the music? 200 Motels is a unified piece, a rock musical with a central theme. It is performed by a reconstituted Mothers of Invention, as Zappa disbanded the original lineup in 1969. They are backed up by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, who I'm not sure have any idea what's going on.
The girl wants to fix him some broth.
Oh look, Keith Moon is the hot nun, because of course. Our 2 lead singers are Howard Kalin and Mark Volman, also known as the Fluorescent Leech and Eddie. Kalin and Volman had been the frontmen for the 60s group The Turtles, and their distinctive vocals can be heard on T-Rex's Electric Warrior and Slider from 1971 and 2. And what is the theme of this opus? It is a cry of woe and anguish on the awful life for a rock band, touring and being on the road. There is no glamour, None. It is a seedy, tacky life with no redeeming value.
Does this kind of life look interesting to you?
For me, the high point of the piece is a 6.5-minute animation called Dental Hygiene Dilemma. It is the story of a rock musician trapped in his motel room, being tempted by the forces of good and evil.
You mean he'll make me sin?
It takes no prisoners.
Get rid of some of that inner tension. Quit the comedy group. Get your own group together. Happy! Like Grand Funk. Or Black Sabbath. No, Jeff. We're coming!
The two big production numbers are a torch-lit lament to the pain of having a small dick, a work of universal appeal.
This, as you may have gathered, is the end of the movie.
And of course, a finishing song to round out the evening.
Lord, have mercy on the people in England for the terrible food these people must eat.
And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Head and 200 motels. Sounds like a busy vacation to me.